How does the pizza get here? I'd like to call the Occupancy Tax Committee to order. October 1st, 2019, my grandson's 6th birthday. Anybody's interested?
Did I give you
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 28th. John?
Okay.
Second. Gene? Any discussion, corrections, deletions, additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have a report on the revenues from the county treasurer. Michael?
Good morning, everybody. I'll make this quick. We're up about 6.8% in comparison to September 30th of this year to September 30th of last year.
Wow.
Some of that has to be attributed to the enforcement that we're taking, but not a tremendous amount, I think. Questions, anybody?
Anybody in the committee have any questions for Michael? Peanut gallery? No? Good job. Everybody's hungry, Michael.
Nice job.
Okay.
Do you
Get
want to
one
talk about this? or-
item on,
No one's seen it.
we better not. Yeah.
Prior to the date.
Yes.
on it.
Yeah, I'd like to, we'll hold off on that. Yep. That's a lot. Okay.
So, this meeting is basically to go over what we budgeted for occupancy tax.
First copy. All right.
You got some ID?
I know you'd love to keep this away from you, Dennis, but I'm just curious.
There you go. I'm going to go through the expenses first. Code 469 is the money that's given to the town, the city of Glens Falls, and the village of Lake George. So we have projected that our revenue for 2019 will be $4,886,000 approximately. 25% of that is $1,221,500 approximately, and to that we've added the $405,000 spending plan that has been in place for the last few years. 471 is the treasurer's 3%, and that is actually based on what was collected in 2018. 480 is special events, and in the back of your little packet there's a spreadsheet that shows what was awarded this year. So we have awarded this year $362,351. What we decided to do was to put $285,000 into that code based on the first meeting that we had, which would have been in December of last year. So the first round of applications, and the balance we put in the discretionary fund of $80,000. So that's when we look at applications this year, and I have asked for all the applications to be in by November 1st. We can decide how you want to allocate that money. 480.02 is $250,000 for the Civic Center. 480.04 is Black Dog Design. That is actually a small contract that we have in place to do social media and web website updates for Festival Commons. 48005 is at $575,000, based on a resolution that was just passed at the September 20th board meeting. We are giving $550,000 to the CVB and also $100,000 in capital costs to the Civic Center. So under that code, it's just the CVB plus $25,000 for the Lake George Visitor Center, which we do every year. They have a room there that promotes the whole county. So, and then 48008 is the capital cost for the Civic Center. So that's broken out. Same resolution, 393 of 2019.
Repeat that. You just say?
Resolution 383 of 2019.
No. You said how much is for the Civic Center?
For the Civic Center, they're getting $250,000 for promotion, and they're getting an additional $100,000 for capital costs.
That's a capital reserve account,
What?
At the bottom, Kevin.
At the bottom,
right at the very bottom.
Oh, wait.
480.08 capital costs. That's a new code this year.
The details are below.
And that's a 5-year commitment. Anybody have any questions?
What's the environmental property? That, milfoil?
Yes,
Could be
that's
anything.
money to the town of Lake George, or town of Luzerne, Horicon, and Chester.
That's Gene money. Keep him quiet.
Now, where does Lake George get their money?
There you go.
Where's the Lake George money? Their general fund? Is that your general fund, Frank? Lake George? Yep.
And Glens Falls, where's that?
Well, Mike, did you have?
I did, and it's more of a budgeting question versus a specific number question. But in many departments, I've learned that we tend to budget lower just because we don't necessarily know what the future might hold. So what we're doing is we're saying we're projecting that next year is going to be as good as this year, right, in terms of occupancy tax receipts.
Okay.
This was a pretty banner year, was it not? So if we don't have that banner year, how do we satisfy all these obligations? It's going to come out of our occupancy tax fund balance?
Out of
Could.
reserve.
It could.
That seems a little different from the way we budget in other areas of county government, or like we just had about the highway, where we budgeted $3 million, but it really wants $5 million.
Well,
So-
we've held our expected revenues from our tax flat.
So you expect another banner year next year, is what you're saying?
Well, I would hope so. I would hope so.
But even if you go equal to
Right.
Last year.
this year,
You can go equal to this year.
right, because it's 2018, right? The 25% is based on the prior 2 years.
Okay. It was more of a budgeting question in terms of how we go about this. That's all.
Good point.
If revenue doesn't come in at the same amount, then we will have over budgeted and the money goes back to the reserve.
Or we would hold back on some of the projects or some of the distributions that we make also, right?
Well, the awards
Well,
are-
I think for next year, we're already committed. I mean, you're committed,
Right.
and you have the money to fund these projects for 2020. We're looking at 18 months, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Some of them, he's right, though.
So-
Because some of them are planned for 5 years, he's right. What happens 2 years from now, things get...
Well, you're talking about this big number, not this bad number.
It's all big numbers.
Okay.
But
Brian?
The revenue increase between the 2019 projected and the 2020 projected is only $25,000. It's the difference between 375 and 400. That $400,000 is made up of, we factor about $125,000 of growth, apples to apples, year to year, which is conservative. If you actually look at the statistics over the past 5 years, we've done better. There's an additional $150,000 estimate in there for Airbnb. And the rest of it is a carryover of growth for this year when you factor out the past delinquencies.
So do we, if I may, do we know what the fund balance, the occupancy tax fund balance is right now as a percentage of our total annual expected revenues?
You know what that is, Lisa?
And that's the fund balance, well, the reserve is a closing account, so 2019 revenues and expenses haven't been closed yet to reserve.
No, but what's the guesstimate of the fund balance, Ben, compared? We have to understand that we need, there's $1 million that's held out of that for cash flow. The last time I looked, but don't hold me to this, it was about 1.6.
1.6 or 1.8 out of 5? 4?
Yeah, 4.8.
No, but that's been cumulative over years, that's not
Okay.
out of this particular year.
And again, my only point is we're committing a lot of money. I'm not disputing the fact that we want to help the Civic Center, but we are making some significant commitments and want to make sure we can satisfy those obligations in the future. So I'll rest my case.
We have satisfied our commitments. We have looked at future years. We're doing all right. We are experiencing some shifting in our occupancy tax spending. Occupancy tax goes to promotion and events. Our event schedule has changed drastically in the 6 years I've been here. We have very few small events anymore. We have a lot of large events, which is a good thing. Some of them have been around for a while and have proven themselves to be money makers. But at some point in time, we are going to have to look at those situations, decide what we want to do. Which is better to spend the money on events or something else. But at this point in time, we're good. And we should be good for the next couple of years at least. And then as we start to fill in some of these numbers, we can decide where we're going, what we're going to do.
So, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, yeah, I think you know where I'm going, right? I did a little presentation about our return on our investment with the occupancy tax. When I finished that presentation, you did make a comment that we'd look into it in terms of starting to look into different approaches to what we do with that money. And I just look forward to having those conversations sometime in the near future. And hopefully we'll have a chance to maybe get some funds to do something different with next year instead of waiting for the year after. But that's the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, we look at a lot of things, Mike. We get proposals on. We got one now. There's not enough money. There's never been. The rule of thumb with OCC tax is no matter how much money you get, you don't have enough. They ask for 3 times the amount of money that I have in the town of Lake George every year. No matter what I get, it's at least 3 times as much. And you have to sit down and go through all the requests, decide which ones you're not going to fund or which ones you're only going to partially fund. And it's not a clear-cut thing. Sometimes when you don't fund them entirely, they contact you and say, if we don't get all of it, we don't want any of it. But it is shifting, and we do look at it all the time on our various committees, including at the county. And that's the hard part. Amy?
There are a lot of events, too, that are not funded by OCC that are
Correct. Correct. Claude?
Thanks, Chairman. I mean, one of my concerns about setting the budget for 480, which is the tourism special events, I mean, that's our big line item for handing out money for marketing for events, right? And that comes off of this, like, addendum sheet but we don't even have all of the applications in yet for this money. So I have concerns about putting $285,000 in there when we know we're going to get applications for way more than this.
We always do.
And we did according to this sheet, in 2019, we've already given out 362,000 plus.
Correct.
We have to budget at this time of the year, though. We always have the...
So why aren't we bumping up our application deadlines and doing this whole process of looking at these things in August?
We get applications in the town of Lake George year-round. Somebody dreams up some event in September, we get an application. We get the majority of them in the beginning of the year because they're repeats. But all the new events, and the new events are a lot of times the ones you're looking for. Somebody's come up with a good idea and has a new event. They think of it in October and they say, hey, I'd like some art tax money. So...
I guess my point is, why we don't have to be married to this sheet. This is not something we're setting in stone today, so why not increase that line?
We have put it where we are comfortable. We anticipate that there will be changes as we go along. We'll look at those changes as they come and act responsibly, I hope. Brad?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we do something like we did earlier with the Balloon Festival, is maybe put some of the, contingency fund for the late arrival applications? The good ideas that came, after, instead of trying to get rid of...
There are other funds available.
Don't we have it in the reserve, Dennis?
Right, yeah,
It's in the reserve.
Okay.
yeah.
It's in the reserve now, correct, Mike?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the reserve fund, it's not like it's
Gone away
in a reserve, and we have tapped the reserve fund
many times.
before. Many years ago, we went in and grabbed some for the NCAA basketball tournament.
Well, do we have enough in the reserve? I mean, to be all fair for, the other events that might want to come in later on, that might be a good idea, that turned out to be a...
He said we had $1.6 million and we're supposed to keep $1 million in there, right? So there's...
You feel comfortable, I mean,
I feel comfortable, but I mean, it's always like, look at the profits and the non-profits, who run the events,
Somebody comes in with a good idea, you want to be able to fund it. If you put it all up front, you're not going to be able to do that. Ben?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My discussions with one of my predecessors, Bill Kenny, over the years was that a lot of the money was intended to be seed money, and that if an organization got, say, $40,000 for the first year or two, gradually it was going to decrease as they became more self-sufficient, and that would give new events and opportunities a chance for for some of that money. So I think that when an organization does a proposal, they're looking for the top dollar with the expectation that they're probably not going to get that after the first few years, and they'll be satisfied with 25, even 50% of what their ask is.
That was one of the considerations early on in the game, Ben. We've been funding the Americade since it started.
Yeah, not the big ones, I think, but
Yeah.
but more of the...
Yeah, some of the smaller ones can definitely do that. You just need to get a leg up and get started. And,
Yeah.
But by and large, they keep coming back.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Kevin?
Yeah, but
Thanks.
don't we base a lot of our analysis on how much money they bring into the county every year too? I mean, you have,
Yeah.
I mean, we've
Yep.
gone back and forth with Americade
Yes.
several times. We've gone back and forth trying to cut it, but then when you look at the amount of money you used to bring in on the study, it was quite a bit of...
Americade's the poster child. They bring in so much money for what little money we invest.
Right.
They outshine everybody else. I mean, when you look at Americaid and what they bring in, and then you look at spending 5 times that every year on the Civic Center, There's no comparison. You know, you're carrying the Civic Center and barricades, making your money hands over fist. But then you go back and you look at, why are we doing this? Well, we're trying to promote the economy and have things for people to do here. And the Civic Center is a big part of that. It's events.
And it's year-round.
And it's year-round. You want to do something in the winter? Civic Center. So you can't just, you need to have a wide open view of every event that comes to you. And then you have to make the hard decision whether it's worth it or not. Claudia, do you have something?
Yeah, you know, somebody mentioned, I think Joanne did, about Roost. Do they do the same kind of thing where they hand out pots of money to different events? Or do they take care of the promotion?
They give a considerable amount of money to Ironman. And then there's another tourism development fund that's not very much money. I have the plan on my desk, their marketing plan, but I don't recall that number. It's not in the hundreds of thousands. Ironman's 190,000.
I think that the slide that Joanne put up, the second one where the CVB was included, is a really good indicator of how well we're doing. Compares our overall gross income with our budget compared to what they do in Essex County, and we're doing really well. It's just one of many indicators, but I think that's a good indicator, and I feel really comfortable with it. Those are good things to see. Any other questions? Lisa? Are you done? You done? Do we want a motion on the budget?
Don't need to.
Do we need to? Okay. That's all I have. Unless anybody's got anything. Gene?
It'll probably be a sore subject, but have we heard any more about the CVB board and chamber separating? And that was promised to us last year. I see Gene is here,
Yep.
so...
We have another expanded CVB meeting tomorrow with a plan to put forth to our board. Our board meeting is on October 8th.
This is October 1st. We're hoping that, I mean, I know that's the way I was understanding it would be done, but before the end of this year.
Well, there's a lot of legal things. We also have to go back to the membership. There's actual steps. We have to talk to an attorney. You know, it's not just, you cannot just separate. You know, there's also an IRS funding that we have gone through once we got our tax ID numbers. So we've been walking through the steps as defined by both our accounts and our attorney.
This is only for me personally. It's just,
Understand.
we were promised that last year when they got to 400. Now, we already gave them 550 for next year. That should have been separated before that 550 was allocated, but we allocated it so everybody was happy. That's my opinion. And now you're saying legal this, it could take another 6 months then.
Gene, I think the point is they're headed in the right direction. We've come a long way.
The right direction is not an answer why we gave them money.
Well, Gene,
That's just my opinion, and I'm speaking...
I have to tell you, as the chairman of the OCTAX committee and being in constant contact with Lake George CVB, Lake George Regional CVB, they've come a long way. They have a lot of bases to touch, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased with their output. I'm pleased with their reporting, and I'm pleased with their proposal for next year. They've expanded their agenda, and I expect to see good things next year. This will come. It may not be by the end of the year, but it will come. And I'm not concerned about the amount of money we gave them. I think it'll be well spent.
I am.
I can see that, Gene.
Oh, you know.
Yep.
We
It's not-
go
it's
through
not a
every one of
problem.
these other events, everything else, Civic Center, all this other stuff, and we beat on them to make sure they get it done.
Yeah.
I think they should have had that done already. That was promised last year.
You're working on it. Mike?
Dennis, what's the chance of getting some money to truly do something different? $100,000 a year out of $5 million of what we get shouldn't be a huge amount to figure out how to get out of the budget somewhere. But to really pull a collective group together to say, let's do something, let's try something different. Case in point, the Chris Kindle Mart that the CVB helped with last year, that was a risk. I participated in that. That was a huge success, I believe. It was something different. My perception is we should be doing something different every year, and we should budget for that every year. And I'd just like you to consider that. I don't know what the answer is.
Well,
I'd like for us to do something different to expand our horizons, because from my impression, I know we look at different events that people are trying every year, but they're not on the big picture. They're decided by the town of Lake George, or the town of Queensbury, the town of Bolton. Excuse me, guys, you're just easy to pick on, right? But we need. I'm looking for a bigger picture, kind of. We'll just say take a long putt. On
Well,
something,
the
a risk.
money's there, Mike, and everybody's aware of it. And they do come in with things. That's not our job to tell them what they should be doing. They think of these things, they bring them in. We have Chris Kindle Mart right here. They've come back with a proposal for this next year, and they're looking for money. It was a huge success. I'd like to see them to be able to get another tent, but we'll go through it. We've got it here, and we put it off to the next meetings, so we'll have time to discuss it. But yeah, we're open to anything. Ryan?
Yeah, my 2 cents on that would be, it'd be better if we were to have that concept, it'd be better to leave it out of the operating budget, wait for that big thing, whatever it is, when it comes, and appropriate it out of the reserve. We put into this year's budget $75,000 unallocated, and it was gone like that, because you get applications for events that you can't handle, and we used that, and then we transferred money out of Bolton and Lake George and Queensbury to pick up additional applications. So that would be my advice on how to do it, is to leave it out of operating and wait and see what the opportunity is. Appropriate it, have this board take action on that.
For the board to take action on it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Going once? Entertain a motion to adjourn? John, second? Ben, all in favor? Thank you.
I tempered myself today.